You've probably heard this term thrown around a lot, the black box of AI. But what does that even mean? What's actually inside? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dismantle it piece by piece. We'll strip away all that confusing jargon and really get to the bottom of what's powering this incredible technology. Okay, so let's get right to it. AI is everywhere, right? But what is it really? Is it some kind of super brain, a new form of consciousness? Or is it just a fancy souped up autocomplete? This question is at the very heart of all the confusion. And believe it or not, the answer comes down to one massive, fundamental shift in how we've been telling computers what to do. All right, let's talk about that shift. Because really, everything about modern AI hinges on this one single idea. It's a total game changer. So, for the longest time, programming was all about rules. We had to tell the computer exactly what to do, step by step. If this happens, then do that. It's kind of like trying to teach someone a language by just handing them a dictionary and a grammar book. Super rigid, right? But with machine learning, we totally flip that on its head. Instead of giving it the rule book, we give it a massive library of books that have already been translated. And we just tell it, here, figure it out. The machine finds the patterns all on its own. And that right there is why this is such a big deal. The old dictionary method, yeah, that gets you those clunky, robotic-sounding translations that we all used to laugh at. But this new way, the Rosetta Stone method, well, that's how things like Google Translate got so incredibly good. They're not following a strict set of rules. They've analyzed millions, even billions of real-world examples. They've learned the flow, the messiness, the context of how we actually talk. And here's the crazy part. The AI doesn't even know why a certain phrase works. It just knows, based on all that data, that it does. What's pretty wild is that AI isn't some brand new thing. Not at all. The core ideas, they actually go all the way back to the 1950s. I mean, Alan Turing was talking about this stuff ages ago. The problem was the hype got way ahead of the technology. The computers just weren't powerful enough. So the whole field went through these long slumps called AI winters, where all the funding and excitement just vanished. What we're living through right now is the AI spring. We finally have the insane computing power and the mountains of data needed to make those decades-old dreams a reality. Okay, but the word AI gets thrown around to describe, well, pretty much everything, right? From your email spam filter all the way to some world-ending robot in a movie. It's a huge spectrum. So let's get specific. Let's break down the three main levels of AI, what we actually have today versus what's still just on the horizon. First up, we've got something called artificial narrow intelligence, or ANI for short. And look, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. Every single AI you have ever used is an ANI. That's it. This is the only type of AI that actually exists in the world today. I'm talking about Siri, your Netflix recommendations, ChatGPT, all of it. It's all narrow AI. A great way to think about it is to picture an Olympic swimmer. In the pool, they're a genius, right? A total superstar, faster than any human alive. But what happens if you take that same world-class swimmer and put them on a basketball court? Well, they're probably just average. Their incredible swimming skill doesn't help them shoot a three-pointer. It doesn't transfer. And that, in a nutshell, is today's AI. Okay, so what's the next step? This is the big one. It's kind of the holy grail for a lot of AI researchers. It's called artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Now, this is still theoretical. But the idea is to create an AI that has the same kind of cognitive flexibility that we humans have. The ability to learn something completely new, to reason through a problem it's never seen before. And, this is key, to take what it learned in one area and apply it to a totally different one. So if our narrow AI was this specialist Olympic swimmer, then AGI is like a decathlete. They have to be good at 10 different unrelated sports. They might not be the absolute best in the world at the 100-meter dash or the javelin, but their superpower is that they are competent and adaptable across the entire range of events. That's the goal for AGI, versatility. And then we get to the really far-out stuff, the purely speculative level, called artificial superintelligence, or ASI. This is the stuff of science fiction for now. We're talking about a hypothetical intellect that's not just a little bit smarter than the smartest human. The gap would be more like the one between us and a chimpanzee. A totally different and unimaginably more powerful kind of intelligence. So to wrap up our athlete analogy, AI isn't even an athlete anymore. It's more like a mythical god. It doesn't just play the game better than anyone else, it invents new laws of physics that make the old game totally irrelevant.
Now, I gotta stress, we are deep in sci-fi territory here. But it's this endpoint, this idea of AI that's behind so much of the incredible excitement and, let's be honest, a lot of the fear surrounding AI's future.
Okay, so now we have a much better map of what AI can do and what it might do one day. But this leads us to what might be the biggest, deepest question of them all. When an AI is doing all these incredible things, is it actually thinking? I mean, is there a ghost in the machine? Is anyone actually home? I mean, think about it. A chatbot can write you a poem about love or loss that could honestly bring a tear to your eye. But does it understand love? Does it know what heartbreak actually feels like? Or is it just a very, very sophisticated parrot, just rearranging words it's seen together in a statistically probable way with zero internal experience of what those words actually mean? This whole debate is captured perfectly in a famous thought experiment called the Chinese room argument. Okay, picture this. You've got a guy who only speaks English, locked in a room. People slide pieces of paper with Chinese characters under the door. These are the questions. Now, the guy has a giant rule book. It doesn't teach him Chinese. It just says, if you see this symbol, write down that symbol. So he follows the rules and slides his answers back out. From the outside, it looks like there's a fluent Chinese speaker in the room. But the guy inside, he has absolutely zero understanding of Chinese. He's just manipulating symbols. The argument is that modern AI, well, it's the guy in the room. It has perfect grammar, perfect syntax, but no real understanding, no semantics. And this really gets to the heart of the philosophical debate. It boils down to two camps. First, you have the weak AI position. This says that AI is just a really, really good simulation. Think of it this way. A perfect computer simulation of a hurricane is still just a simulation. It's not going to get you wet. And in the same way, a simulation of a mind isn't a real mind. But then you have the strong AI position. This one argues that a mind is just a complex information processor. And if a computer gets complex enough, it's not a simulation anymore. It is a mind. It genuinely thinks. It's just doing it on silicon instead of with neurons. So, wow, where does all of this leave us? Whether these systems are thinking or not, they're here. So what does it actually mean for our future, for our jobs? To be sharing the planet with these incredibly powerful and maybe unconscious new intelligences? Well, the biggest and most immediate impact is on the nature of work itself. What you're seeing here is a fundamental shift. All that routine cognitive stuff, the kind of work that follows a pattern, that's getting automated. AI is just way better at processing massive amounts of data with lightning speed and consistency. So what does that leave for us? Well, our value is shifting. It's moving away from doing the repetitive tasks and moving towards directing the AI. Our job becomes about providing the ethical judgment, the real-world context, and the emotional understanding that the machine just doesn't have. And that brings us to a final, really important thought to leave you with. These AI systems can generate a nearly infinite amount of content. Endless articles, endless code, endless art. But here's the thing they can't generate: values, purpose. They have no sense of what's right or what's beautiful or what truly matters. So in this new world where answers are cheap and infinite, maybe our most important human job isn't about creating the answers anymore. Maybe it's about curating them. It's about having the wisdom to ask the right questions and to know which answers are worth trusting.